Hey there, Bradley. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Rick. Can you hear me?
I can hear
We
you.
can hear you. You couldn't hear us, but now you can hear us.
Wonderful.
Yay, hello.
Hey, we're connected.
Oh, Peter's Day, or is that Austrian? How do you say hello in German? I only know one
You got
German
me.
word besides Guten Tag.
Well, guten Tag. Auf Wiedersehen is more of a goodbye, but you can sure say, I guess. I don't know too many German words yet. I'm not going to lie, though I'm taking some courses.
I took German in summer school, very young. We had great summer school in my elementary. And it was German, and the only word I remembered from it was the number 6. And so I loved to count to 6. That's all I got out of that class. It was very racy when you were 9 or 10.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Are you going to share that with us, Karen?
Yeah, you don't know how to say 6 in German?
I don't. I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah, S-E-X, sex.
We had a German babysitter, and all I remember is the German number 9, 999.
You have a serious sounding language, and I do have some German in me.
Very different. It's a very different language. That's for sure.
And they keep the streets clean, I hear.
They do.
I don't know if that's still true.
It's a little different. City life and being in the city, there's, I wouldn't say it's as clean as maybe the countryside, but all in all, they have a different mode of operandi for sure.
Well, I hope they don't think you're an ugly American. I hope they welcome you.
You know, if I don't talk and I walk around, I fit right in.
I was going to say that, Bradley. You actually, when you were throwing out a little German there, I thought you could definitely play one in a movie.
I just kind of squint, keep the high brow, and just keep walking, and they just go and they just let me do my thing.
Yeah, I was thinking like Inglourious Bastards or something.
Mm-hmm.
You'd make a good tough guy in a German movie.
I do. I have that scowl. I fit right in.
Well, I think that we're all in. Director Beard is unable to make it because of a family matter. And so I think go ahead and call the meeting to order at 5:32. I'm calling to order the regular board meeting for the Santa Ynez Community Service District on Wednesday, July 21, 2021.
We'll do roll call.
Yes, please.
Director Redford,
Here.
Director Gambra,
Here.
Director Jones,
Here.
Director Van Pelt,
Here.
Okay, so, and we knew ahead of time that Director Beard would not be able to make it. So we're going to go ahead and move to the pledge. And would you lead us in the pledge, Mr. D'Ambra, Director D'Ambra?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America,
and to the
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and with that, I would like to start with Director Redfern. Are there any comments that you would like to make? This is an opportunity for you to discuss anything that isn't on the agenda that you think is related to district business.
No.
Okay, and how about you, Director?
No, I'm fine for the forthgoing few minutes.
Okay. My only comment is, it is nice to have you here, Rick.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you. We're going to continue, I hope, to work on managing our legal hours. I know we had a bunch of legal stuff that needed to get done this month with planning for Horizon Drive, but it just catches my eye when I sign the check. But thank you for your work, and I know that you had a lot to do this month. Okay, Director Van Pelt, do you have any comment?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, then let's go ahead and see if there are any members of the public that would like to make a comment. You can address the board on any items of interest related to our district that are not on the agenda. I do not see anyone in Zoom or the people that are here present here at the meeting. So we'll go ahead and move to the reports, starting with General Manager Jose Acosta.
Good evening, board members and members of the public. A few items to mention for the month. We conducted interviews for the chief plant operator at the casino to replace Kevin. And we had 3 qualified candidates who met all the requirements for certification and experience. 2 of them were interviewed very well. It was a tough decision, but we made a decision and we offered the position and accepted by an operator. He's currently the chief plant operator out at Laguna Sanitation District. And he comes with about 20 years of experience out at that plant and about 16 years of experience as a chief plant operator. So he'll be starting next Wednesday out here at the casino. And maybe I'll try to get him to come to the next board meeting just so he can introduce himself, say hi to the board, and you guys can ask him some questions if you like. So,
That's exciting.
yes.
Good job. And he's excited to be coming up to this area.
Yes, he's actually from the area, so he's familiar with the area and looking forward to working here.
Great, good job.
Staff attended the quarterly joint staff meeting with the city of Solvang when they discussed a few things out at the plant. Cushman Construction, who's doing their upgrades, they're doing very well. They're a little ahead of schedule, and they're going to be continuing that work. That work was going to continue for over 1.5 years when the contract was initially awarded. So that's going to be an ongoing process, and that's to upgrade the aeration process out at the plant. So there's still more work to be done after that process, but this is phase 1 of the process.
I remember how excited we were that we were getting that done about 2 or 3 years ago. We thought it was going to happen. Now it's happening. Yay.
Yeah. And they also provided an update that they presented their phase 2 and 3 to their city council at their June meeting. And the council's letting them move forward with the phase 2 and 3, starting the planning for that as well. So we should be getting more information and pricing on that as we get closer to that contract. And on our end, we gave them a brief briefing on the Horizon Drive project, where we are, who's going to be doing the work, and let them know the process going on there. They also provided a final 10-year CIP plan for their wastewater treatment plant, which was approved by their city council at their June meeting, which will be discussing our CIP later on in the meeting with that updated version of their CIP as well. We attended a meeting with the CHUMAS representatives, Pace Engineering, Swing, and district reps to discuss possible improvements on their membrane filtration at their treatment plant. The design that was initially put in, I want to say 5 years ago, is pretty fouling. It clogs up pretty frequently, and it causes issues with that plant. So it's not running efficiently. So looking at either upgrading to a different membrane system, or just doing some redesigning on the current system that's there. And today I went to a meeting there. They're going to add a 3rd reclaimed water tank. They're looking at adding a 3rd reclaimed water tank because they're using quite a bit out there right now. So they want to upgrade and add more capacity. So that way, when their current project, which is across the highway there, is completed, they may anticipate using more water there as well. So,
And we are going into a drought.
yes. We did have a Zoom meeting with Nigro, the district auditors, to discuss the upcoming audit and any required documents and actions needed from district staff. So Wendy's working very closely with their representative on getting that audit started. We held the community meeting at Horizon Drive with the residents to discuss the project and answer any questions. We had 13 of the residents come to the meeting and ask questions. And most of them were very excited, very cooperative, and there was some concerns on trimming that tree, using that lot to the east And so Mr. Tom Seidel, the SCI rep, he brought a personal friend out who's an arborist, and they took out a few branches, the minimal impact that they had to do. That's what he listened to their concerns, and he's minimalizing his impact out there. So that way they're not too upset at the end of the project. So we also reevaluated the possible connections at Horizon Drive based off of the lot that they're using for storage. That gentleman expressed an interest in connecting. So at that time, I said, well, if we have that lot who's interested and they have a possible connection, I reached out to the district engineer and said, let's reevaluate all the lots that could possibly connect to this project without any modifications. And we came up to 23 properties from the 20. So that we're going to do a new capacity charge study. It's nothing major because we still have that study. All we're doing is adding 23 instead of 20. And it's going to lower the price a bit for those residents by three service connections. So we're looking forward to presenting that to the public and also to the board at hopefully next month's meeting as well.
Excellent.
And just to close out my report, I just want to say thank you for, I've been here, yesterday was 1 year of hire here at the CSD. So it's been a challenge, it's been growth, and I appreciate everything working with staff. Rick and all the staff here have been wonderful, and the community has embraced me. And
You're getting a lot of gray here, so we know you're
I
working
didn't have
hard.
this gray when I started, but it's coming on now. So, but it's been great, and it's experience. And I look forward to quite a few more years here, hopefully. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I think it's worked out really well, and I'm excited with the progress that we continue to make. I think the people in this room make a pretty good team.
Yes.
Okay, so we can move on to legal counsel report. Mr. Battles.
Okay. How is the audio on your end? Are people able to hear me okay?
Better than ever.
Okay, great. The whole Zoom experience on my end is much improved. I'm able to see everybody. I think I can even see myself on a monitor way over there, and the audio is great. So anyway, this is a giant step forward on the technology front. At the last board meeting, it came up regarding whether or not it's appropriate for board members to abstain if they don't have a conflict of interest. And I had researched this issue a few years back for another client. It's actually back in 2015. And I couldn't remember all of the rules, but I did remember that generally abstaining is not encouraged as a matter of public policy, but it's not a hard and fast rule. And so my approach with clients has always been, if asked, I'll tell them it's not favored, but there's nothing that prevents you from abstaining. If you have a conflict of interest, you're legally required to abstain, and there are rules under the Political Reform Act dealing with that. But in other cases, a member may just choose to abstain because they're not well enough informed, or for whatever reason it might be. So just very quickly, the rules on a duty to vote are as follows, and then I'll give you a little bit of a qualification on them. So one case from Robert's Rules of Order says it's the duty of every member who has an opinion on a question to express it by its vote. A case from 1997 said there's a strong public policy that members of public legislative bodies take a position and vote on issues brought before them. The policy has been expressed on the duty of members of a city council to vote, and that they ought not to, by inaction, prevent action by the board. Another case says the duty to vote is present if the member is present. Another case says abstentions are generally disfavored, absence of conflict of interest. And then finally, this is actually from the Mobile Home Park Act. It says, unless there's a good reason not to vote, all directors, including the president, should vote on all motions. I say there's a qualification on that because there are lots of cases that talk about the effect of an abstention. And in going through that analysis, they treat an abstention one way if you have a conflict and you're not allowed to vote. Essentially, you're treated as being absent. And in all other cases, they treat abstentions differently. And They look at the member and how he counts towards a quorum. Is by abstaining, are you essentially saying, yes, I'm voting in favor of it, I'm just not going on the record? And in all those cases, they're acknowledging the fact that members can and do abstain. Otherwise, they wouldn't go through all that analysis. So I end up concluding that there's no prohibition on abstaining. There's just a policy that favors you voting unless you have a clear conflict. So I wanted to share that information with you.
Thank you, Mr. Battles. I think all of us have come up in that situation, particularly as new board members. I can think of several cases where we did not have what we felt was sufficient information to weigh in. But in reading Robert's rules and doing my own, layperson research, I thought, for me, it was appropriate to say, I don't feel comfortable voting yes because I don't know enough. Which isn't abstaining. I can vote no, but yeah, I see where it's a gray area. And, a learning opportunity for us, but I understand that we still have the right to vote or not vote.
Correct.
Does anyone have any further questions for Mr. Battles on that?
No, all I can add is,
do you have anything else?
no, I was going to add, Director Jones, and thank you, Rick, for that kind of brief explanation, because I was the one last meeting that abstained in a vote, and I think it's very important to understand what the normal behavior is and why you would abstain. So I'll take that in consideration all my future votes. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I feel. It's a growth experience for us. We're all learning. So thank you, Rick. Do you have any other report to give?
That's all I have.
Then we shall move to Secretary Treasurer Wendy Berry for her report.
So we're working on scheduling the ethics and sexual harassment training. Did you happen to get your link, Director Van Pelt?
I believe I did, but let me double check, and I'll let you know via email.
All right, and then like Jose stated, I've received all the requests from the auditors, so we've begun the audit, and they're asking for a lot of information. So
This is a new team, correct?
yes,
So we're starting fresh.
we're starting all over again. Yes. So, and it will be all conducted. The first preliminary audit will be done all by Zoom and scan an email, and then they'll be up here providing that they can, for health reasons with COVID, they'll be up here in person for the final audit.
Well, great. Be interesting to see how they do and how staff likes working with them. And anything else on the Secretary Treasurer front to report now?
No.
Then to move on to the committees, I know that Director Redfern and I met and don't have anything to report other than we had a meeting, and once again, I think it was congenial and productive, and but nothing to report now. Do you have anything to add? I'm not sure, maybe when will we have another closed session, in a meeting or two, or when will be the?
That would be determined by what the negotiations are at this time. So
Okay.
I believe you guys made a,
We don't have a future date.
no, there's no future date at this time. So
Okay. So then we can move on. There were no other committee meetings, were there? Okay. We can move on to number 7, the consent items. And this is for the board to approve regular meeting minutes of June 16, 2021, approval of the special minutes of the June 22nd, 2021 meeting, and the treasurer's report, approval of disbursements from June 12th through July 16th, and the profit and loss budget performance for June. So everyone has had their packet, had an opportunity to review. Does anyone have any questions or changes?
I have a comment.
Yes.
I thought that your guys' new webpage where we could read all this was brilliant. I
It's
really
much
liked
better.
it. It was so much better.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you.
Yay, it is much
it's
better.
called streamlined for a reason, I think,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier to upload, download,
Right, it doesn't,
change, move.
yeah, it was really good.
If we do not have any comments or requests to change anything, corrections, I would like to get a motion to approve the items on the consent items on the agenda.
I'll pass or say the motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Director Redfern. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Wendy.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Redfern, a second by Director Deambra to approve the consent agenda as presented. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Redfern,
Aye.
Director Deambra,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Van Pelt.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, then we will move on to number 8, action items. 8A is a public hearing on the increase of capacity charges for the fiscal year 2021 through 2022. So right now we are opening a public hearing,
At 5:51.
okay, at 5:51.
Comment?
I do not see anyone who wants to make a comment on Zoom. Mr. Covell, do you have a public comment?
Yes, I'd be happy to, as a customer, I guess I really don't know the substantiation for this increase. It seems significant in terms of the cost to a residential home. And it somehow, a marriage, I'm suggesting, we need a closer ties to Solvang and become one. I've always said this from time to time. It would be far greater if we had a larger customer base for yourselves and for Solvang. And I can only encourage you to see if some kind of association can be where everything is under one authority rather than these two authorities. That's it.
I have a question for you, Fred. How does that save you money? You know, it sounds nice what you're saying. Where is the savings if we still pay them X dollars a month? How does that change?
In rough order, Solvang is 2,000 connections.
Yeah,
How many connections does the CSD have?
800,
715.
715.
Okay, so added another 715 to that. Would there be an economy of scale in that regard?
You know, that doesn't always apply mathematically when you put that out there. The bigger something is, the more cost-effective things should be. But in reality, that's not always true at all. How will we save money? Let's just say we had one entity and we pay 20% of the bill.
Well,
How would that change?
one entity would be you.
Or them?
No, it would be you. Solvang does not, as I always said in the past, Solvang's history is they do not do a good job of operating and maintaining a sewer system.
You know, Fred, now we're getting into politics. We were, a couple of years ago, when we first came on, we looked at tying in with them and they had a change of politics and they wanted to go their own way. So, you know, it sounds real good. I don't think anybody here would be against it for efficiency. But, you know, they've got to meet somewhere in the middle with us. And I think they basically said they're not interested. Is that a fair statement, Jose?
That is true. At this time, they're not interested in joining. And last time it was presented to the board did say we were going to kill it on our end, but at this time, it's not an option for us because they don't want to join, but maybe revisit it later.
And what I remember about it is the majority of people here for sure are very open to that idea and not even just limiting to us in Solvang. We've got 5 little towns here. There could be a better way to do things. And what's going to happen before that can happen is it's going to be what our districts and little towns want. And so if the public can see that there would be savings, because there is something kind of weird to be paying 68 and other people paying 33, and you know, it doesn't make sense. So it would be nice to have things under one roof. I don't know that Los Olivos is where they want to be. And so I think there's going to continue to be opportunities for this agency, and generally combining is a good idea. And you have made this point at least a couple times in meetings, Bob, about the school district.
I was just thinking that.
And you know, the school district is pushing back hard, the administration, but the public has been clamoring this last 6 months for what you want. After all these years, there's a groundswell coming from the public. So that can happen, but we will continue to work with all of our neighbors and do our best. But I think, I know Director Redfern has expressed interest in being more efficient, and you and I have, and Jose, so that's not out of the realm of possibility to me, even though it's not on the front burner right now, Mr. Covell.
Well, you know, that's, you know, this thing is like a tide. It rises and it becomes in the forefront. Tons of discussions historically on Ballard, a pipe down Alamo Pintado Road. You know, all this super tie-in. One, I'm going to change the name from authority to bureaucracy. And that's a real element of savings. So before I pass, I may see this happen. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but we need a leader. We need somebody that just takes this on as a personal, what's the word I'm searching for? Just takes it under the wing and starts the sales job. We need one customer base to take care of this whole valley. And expansions are going on, and at some point in time, it just needs to be under that one cloak.
Well, I'm excited because I see leadership emerging here. You know, I think Jose has been exuding leadership qualities. I have a lot of confidence. We lost Mr. Van Pelt, so I'll talk behind his back, but he seems like a natural leader, and he's studied and prepared. And I know that Director Redfern has great credibility because of his work here. So I think we've got a board that can provide some leadership, and it's just a matter of, yeah, somebody ready to take it on.
I'm looking for the marching band.
Well, once it sounds like a winner, everybody will be on. They'll all jump on the bandwagon. But we just need to present the facts and show people that it will make sense and be transparent, open, and sell them, and not try and pull one on them. You know, it needs to be a discussion that people all buy into and say, that makes sense. Let's do it.
I appreciate your time on this one.
Thank you. And I appreciate you sticking with it. It can happen. Yes.
For clarification, actually, the director was there the whole time. She just turned his video off. And the reason why we weren't seeing Rick, that I'm not certain of, but if Rick starts saying something, I think it'll pop up. This app is a little bit weird with who it shows on the monitor, but we actually have not lost the connection at all.
So I should not talk behind people's backs.
There's a entire audience of people.
One more thing I need to work on. Okay, so any other public comments before we close the public comment portion of this? I see none.
So we'll close it at 6 o'clock.
I don't know where the clock is. Oh, yes, 6 o'clock. Very good. Yes. So closed, and now we shall move to 2, and I will turn that over to Jose.
So we're still on item A. Public hearing has been closed. This time Wendy's going to present the staff report regarding the approval of the resolution for the CEQA adoption. And also she's going to discuss the approval of the ordinance to approve the capacity fees. So I'll turn it over to Wendy at this time.
Okay, so resolution 21-10 sets forth the findings approving the preliminary environmental review form and authorizing filing the notice of exemption relating to the capacity fee increases. In 2010, the board adopted the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines to, it's a system of checks and balances. And with the resolutions, we have to have the environmental review committee review to see if there's environmental impact on the resolution. And in February of 2021, Mr. Tuckfield performed the capacity fee study, and he updated this study and presented it to the board. And the current capacity fee currently is $6,336.98, and his increase, if you approve the increase, it will go to $9,995.56. And he based that on all our expenses and the capital improvement plan items that we have, and our upgrade for the solving, our portion of the upgrade for the solving treatment plant. And so the environmental committee conducted the preliminary review of the ordinance and has concluded that the adoption thereof is exempt from environmental review under CEQA pursuant to section 21080B number 8 of the Public Resource Code and section 15273 of Title 14 of the California Code of Regulations. The conclusion is set forth in the preliminary environmental review form prepared by the environmental committee, and a copy is attached for the board to review. The committee determined the proposed rate increase is exempt under CEQA, and if resolution 21-10 is approved by your board, staff will file a notice of exemption with the county clerk office.
Any comments or questions?
Yes,
Yes, Director Redford.
this sounds like more expense for the 800 families here, is that correct?
It's only for the families, it's only for the residences that will connect to sewer,
New sewer.
Not to the existing.
not to
No.
the existing, no.
You know, I got something, and I just don't get this at all. We have no idea who's gonna plug in and who's not. Horizon's a prime example. We started with 21. How many firm commitments do we have right this moment?
Probably have about 5 firm commitments.
5 out of 20. And once they're in, we may get 1 more, 2 more, 5 more. We don't know. I don't know how you can take a number like that and goose it up an extra almost $4,000 when you have no substance to draw that from. This is just guesswork, is it not?
No, it's not.
Well, how can you raise the capacity fee when we don't know how many people are going to be hooking up? How can you come up with a number?
So what you
If we
did,
have no idea how many, we know 5. We have 5 commitments, we have 5 deposits, is that a fact?
we have no deposits at this time.
So we have none.
No.
So we have no firm commitments.
No.
But we're raising the rates. You know, that just doesn't make mathematical sense to me.
I remember when the sewer went in San Ynez, we barely scraped through with enough people to get the sewer in. We had to have whatever it was, 400 connections. Might have been 300, I forget. We barely shoehorned it in at that time. But today, if we look at how many connections we have, we're fairly connected.
Yeah, but we got a lot of, you know, I just don't see how you raise the rate when you have no product nobody's buying it.
So
Well,
You know?
some people are buying it.
Who's
because-
buying it? We have no firm commitments. Is that a fact?
at
No,
Horizon Drive, there aren't, but we have other connections that have happened periodically throughout the year that happen throughout the year as well. How many
There's those-
applications?
motel
Yes.
buildings being built around the corner from me.
Okay,
There's a new house just beyond that. There's 2 vacant lots that look like they've got some action going. The town has a lot of building going on.
okay.
So those people, they will have no choice but to hook up to sewer. They're not even big enough to do septic.
But my point is you don't know how many. We're raising it to 9,000 predicated on what?
Predicated on the fact of what we currently have in infrastructure, the cost inflation for that infrastructure to have to be replaced in the future, and also for our commitments with the City of Solvang wastewater treatment plant. So what these people who are coming in are taking on that increase based off of those costs, our future CIP. Current residents aren't taking the impact on this.
I understand you're
And
not taking impacts.
I'm listening and I understand what you're saying, Director Giambres. We don't know how many customers, so how do we pick a figure of $3,000 to raise that? It's basically raised, predicated off of infrastructure only. It's not based off of anticipating how many customers will connect.
Okay, at $4,000 increase, how long are we looking for that? For
And I
1
think
year,
it's
for 5
3,000.
years?
Is it,
For what?
isn't it
It's
3,000?
$3,000.
3,000 and change.
And so the last time that this was completed was a thorough investigation, a thorough study was completed in 1998. So that was 23 years ago that the thorough study was completed. And it's been raised based off of the engineering news record construction cost index figures every year. So that was placed in effect, so that way the district had a number to ensure that they were raising it to keep up with inflation. And
Okay.
engineering.
So that's the norm.
So what we're gonna do is hope in 5 years, we'll reevaluate this.
So this
report.
is a 5-year life expectancy, is what you're
That's what
saying?
I'd
And then
like
it's
to do.
subject to review, obviously, again.
That's what I'd like to do, is every 5 years review this.
And what was it prior to this?
Again, it was
Was
1998. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I thought I read 2010 in here.
In 2010, it was reviewed along with the rate study, I believe, at that time. But it was, again, just documented to increase based off the construction cost index. There was
Another
no
question.
there was no thorough review or
On-
examination.
On the capacity charge, how about the hotels? What are they paying? They pay same as a single family residence? They
No,
pay more?
it's all
How do they
based-
predicate that?
It's all based on the ERU, which is 215 gallons. So it's all based on the usage.
The flow?
So the more, yes, so the more you use, the more you pay. And right now, well, the proposed for the hotel would be
Real quick, if I can answer that, in layman's terms is, you have a strength factor here based off of, single family is a 1 on a strength factor at 215 gallons per day on a single family resident. When you do a strength factor based off of how big that hotel is, and you have a number in here on that strength factor, I'm gonna throw out an arbitrary figure, she'll give me the correct figure right now, but say it's 3. So then it's 3 times that amount that you would pay for a single family house.
And what's the norm or the average we have of the hotels? Because we have the hotels expanding there right behind Red Barn.
well.
Is that a factor of 3?
Well, it all depends on if they have kitchens or if they're bed and breakfast. So a hotel motel, the manager's residence, it would be the $9,995. A room without kitchen, because there's less flow, is 100 gallons per day, and that would be 46, 49, 86. A room with kitchen is 150 gallons per day, so that's projected to be $6,974. Like the major market, that's $61,371 because they'll use 750 gallons per day, or they'll produce 750 gallons per day. A coffee specialty retail with up to 21 seats, they're projected to use 270 gallons per day, and that would be $12,553.
Those are the capacity fees predicated on the volume of usage.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes,
And so like a hotel, for example, they're paying $4,600 roughly per room.
yes.
So if you have 10 rooms, they're gonna be paying $46,000 for their capacity fee, plus the managers, which is another $10,000.
And what about the monthly charge too? That's also goosed up?
Yes.
Not with this capacity fee study, no.
No, the capacity fees, a one-time
Yes.
charge.
Right,
Okay,
yes.
But they do pay more monthly than the
Yes.
average resident. Yes.
okay, and what is, and that's 215 is average flows.
Yeah.
So that's $78. So what's the average monthly
Well,
bill for a
I
hotel?
don't have those numbers right in front of me, but like the Golden Inn for the senior and for the family living, they're paying, I think it's like $5,600 a month per steward, because they have all the units. So it's based per unit gallon per day.
And how many units are there? 60 some odd, 65?
If I remember right, I think they're using 65 ERUs, but don't quote me on that.
I think that's right. Okay, I just don't like the prices keep going up and up and up, and I don't have to pay for it. But I just see things going through the roof, and I'm just want everybody to know I'm gonna be the biggest, sharpest razor here when it comes to spending money. Just want you all to know that. I'm gonna question everything, and I'm not gonna support many future expansions where the consumer it has to pay each month, more each month. I got a couple of hits out on the street from people who are not very happy about the bill they got, the increase for the next 4 or 5 years. And I understand that. And I told them, I support that. Like I said, I'm going to be a real sharp razor, a real sharp pencil when it comes to supporting increased spending here. I want to start cutting costs, that's my objectivity here. I don't think we need to spend all kinds of money on all kinds of things. We're in financial fog as far as I'm concerned. We have Solvang with over 2 million of upgrades that we owe them. By the time that gets through, you and I know it's going to be more than 2 million because we're going to run into changes. We didn't run into that. So that's going to be higher. We have over $1 million due on Horizon. We have no guaranteed income from that. Okay, that's $3 million right there. So that doesn't give us a lot of wiggle room should something significant happen. And those things kind of the old, what can go wrong will go wrong. And it always goes wrong at the wrong time. So I want to start tightening spending. We have a lot of outflow going, and we don't have much increase in inflow to cover the outflow that's going out. I'm concerned about that. Fiscally, I'm very conservative. And I know they need the help on Horizon. We did that. We're there. Now they've got to come back and reciprocate by signing on to this. And, out of 20, if we get 5, I would think we were very successful. But, that's a lot of weight we're going to have to carry until such time if they ever do hook up. Some of them just put all new systems in, so they're not going to hook up. So those are lost. So I'm just concerned about future expansion, spending money, and that's all I have to say. And thank you for putting up with that.
I don't disagree with you at all. And one thing that I need to be better at doing is learning more to understand you know, how the costs really are, where the money's really going. And I listened to those two guys that came in here. I believe Tuckfield and Associates did a good job and have a formula for determining what we need to be where we need to be. But at the same time, I see stuff that strikes me as a racket. You know, that some things are done a certain way and a lot of people are getting rich and it doesn't necessarily improve service delivery. So I'm with you, but I want to do it smart and I want to understand what it is I'm doing. But I agree. I don't understand this up to flush my toilet.
We could put a lot of money in the bank if we just sold this building. Do we really need it?
We're gonna operate out of a van down by the river? What?
Rent something? They rented something for 20 years.
Yeah, you know, that's not the answer. The
Well,
answer is really
Yeah,
to
this is
bring your
nice,
costs down
but
on a
that
monthly
would
basis.
Bring our costs down.
Okay,
I did not know, and it's my ignorance, I didn't know that this building was being built. You know, I found out when, you know, I went to pay my monthly sewer bill. I used to walk down there, it was 20 something when I first started. The last time I walked down there, I believe it was 33. A nice lady, you know, by the Elks Club there. And I enjoyed the office environment. It did not seem extravagant.
It wasn't.
Yeah, but it didn't seem dilapidated either. It was a nice little office that I could take my check in and I knew how much I was paying for my sewer. But, you know, that's quaint. I'm old now and I look back all nostalgic about that stuff. But yeah, this building was quite an expense for 800, 714 houses.
you know, I think this board should just think about and manage it. We're here to help the community, but it's got to be reciprocal. We can't go spending millions of dollars on an analysis and an engineering, this and that, and then cost, and then build it, and then nobody plumb in. They have got to come to us with the cash in hand. Maybe that sounds a little hard, but that's the reality, okay? We do this again. We're not gonna be able to afford this. We're gonna move into the old place, okay? We have right now, in all fairness, we have $1 million loss, okay, from Horizon. Until such time as we start get some income from that, this is a loss. We have $1 million that must be allocated on a monthly basis to pay for that. Basically, until such time all of them hook up or a substantial hookup to get us to the point of break even. Now, we can't do that anywhere else. We're financially restricted. And if we did do that, we'd all be out on the street because it's just not feasible. So we need to have an idea. We need to have a guarantee from the community. You know, when we first went there, it was 21 people. Yeah, this is a great idea. And as they found out the cost, we're going like this. The people who are interested start coming like this. And now it's gone the exact opposite. So we need to start thinking a protocol, come up with a protocol that if you want to plumb into us, you're going to have to guarantee us X amount of people. Not one.
I'm sorry to interrupt here. Can I just jump in? The agenda item we're on relates to the capacity fee increase. This is the general capacity fee increase. It's not the increase for Horizon, which will come to you later. And I'm a little concerned about getting too off topic. It's important to stay on the agenda topic and not discuss things that aren't on. I think you could bring these issues up when we're talking about the Horizon Drive project and that update. But I think we're getting a little off topic here, and that concerns me from a Brown Act standpoint.
Thank you, Rick. Makes sense. Okay. Well, then with that,
I have one comment, Director Jones, is reading through it. And again, being the newest board member, a lot for me to learn. But I was looking through the methodologies on how we came about, or how Tuckfield came about to this determination of the capacity charge. And I see we used what they would call as a buy-in methodology. Have have we explored the different methodologies in more detail and have a better understanding from a board standpoint on how that would affect the proposed capacity charge increase? If we were to use a different methodology, because there are several methodologies, it seems that can be used in this calculation.
We've had broad discussion, and well, I'll try to get past this, Rick, because I agree, but we don't want to get on to another topic. But the Horizon was a special problem area, and they had been promised something in the early to mid 90s. And I believe that this board had a duty. But we have discussed in general terms that when we do our next project, it's not going to be a piecemeal thing like this. We're going to do a project, and we're going to explore other ways of doing it. I think Jose is familiar with different ways. I remember John Dornalis listed different ways you can service an area by going with, I think he mentioned a different kind of maybe a bond, like some of the things that you do in a school district vote for improvements. So do it in a big way and not do it a neighborhood or a street at a time. This was a little bit different because of the special problems there and our failure to deliver what we promised for so long.
It wasn't 1990 that started. That was definitely in the 80s.
Okay, then even in the, I mean, we're talking a long time. So I feel like we had a duty to address this problem. And I do think people will come in, but I like the way you're thinking. And that's when I say I want to be smarter about this stuff. There are ways that people put infrastructure in a large area, and that's where you benefit from the scale and maybe doing it a little smarter. This was the best solution for Horizon that we could come up with at the time. Did you have anything else, Rick?
Interject here. Again, I think we're talking about the Horizon project when the focus should be on this capacity fee increase, which is district-wide. And Director Van Pelt is correct that there are different methodologies you can use here. They're identified in the study. You probably saw the brief description of those different methodologies, but to my knowledge, the consultant didn't go down any of those other paths to see what kind of different number he would come up with if he used one of those other methodologies. He exercised his professional judgment to say the buy-in approach is the most appropriate for our agency. I think if the board's not comfortable with that approach or thinks it would be worthwhile to explore other approaches, you'd want to hold off in approving the capacity fee increase and have those other approaches evaluated and explained in more detail by the consultant. That information really isn't in the report. It's just all the report says is, here are some other options for calculating it. We decided not to use those other options. We went with this approach, and that's how the capacity fee, the increased capacity fee, was calculated.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bowles. Yeah, that was my point, Director Jones, it's just that it seems to me that listening to other board members, that is our duty to potentially look at these other methodologies or get maybe an explanation of the methodologies and why we or our consultants chose the system buy-in methodology. I don't know if the other methodologies are going to come back with a larger capacity rate increase, but it would be my opinion that we might need to look at these methodologies in more detail and get a better firm understanding before we assume that the system buy-in is the right methodology in our case. Not that I'm questioning any consultants that have years and decades of experience. It's just for my own knowledge and for the responsibility we have to our constituents.
You mentioned duty, and we do have a duty to the people that we serve. And so I'm very open to that if the board is interested.
So I do want to state that the consultant did state why he used this methodology. It's used where the existing facilities have sufficient capacity to serve existing and future development of the service area. So that's why he chose this methodology. And you're absolutely right. We can, if you don't want to approve it, we can postpone this. I do want to notify the board though that the costs that we approved for this study have been we've met that cost already, and we'd have to receive another cost from the consultant to do another study as well, if we decide to go down that road. Or we can wait the 5 years, during that 5 years, discuss the methodologies and approach the next consultant, whether it's Clayton Tuckfield or another consultant, and have them perform it with a different methodology. Yes, sir.
Maybe we could just have them explain the differences and why they chose that one in English without all the legal, so that we have a good general knowledge of why we're using this one, without doing another study and without spending a lot more money.
Like
So
pay
that
him
we
to
feel
come.
good that we have the right study done in the correct procedure for our people.
So as he states, this study is used for the systems that have the capacity to feed current and future buildings.
Right,
So that's what this methodology is used.
right. So
But-
if we heard the differences, then we would go, yes, we definitely have the right one.
So what we can do is we can invite Mr. Tuckfield to the next board meeting and ask him to present the different methodologies and why he chose this one, and the process to go through a different methodology if the board wants to go that route.
Do you think he'd charge us for that?
I believe he would have to charge us for that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but it's a consultant fee and we're not paying him to do the whole study. And it's like paying an attorney. Maybe that's a good use of our funds.
Okay,
I would
I
ask him
look
if
at it
he'd be
differently.
willing to do it.
I would request him to explain. I don't think that's unreasonable that we should have to pay someone for them to explain why they chose to go this way. I don't,
He did explain it,
did he?
but it just didn't
Maybe you
sink
could do
in.
it on a Zoom meeting.
Yeah,
Yes, Zoom meeting, but he's a professional and I would not be,
well, that's all the more reason as far as I'm concerned, as a professional, he'd want to keep his customers happy. We take him half an hour to explain something that we have a question on. I
Yes,
would
but-
ask him if he would do that. If he doesn't, okay, then we pay him. But it doesn't hurt to ask, and I think that builds up a nice relationship between client and the professional. Why not ask?
we had an
Why is that a
opportunity
problem?
to ask him these questions when he was here, when we were paying him. So, it's new. We think of questions after the meeting and wonder about things.
And that's normal, and why can't we ask him to
Well,
do that?
let's
All he can
face
say
it,
is
that
no.
$3,000 is kind of shocking. Of course, when I go to the gas pump, it's kind of shocking too. But that's all, we just need to be sure we're doing the right thing.
I'm open to it. I am just stating, I'm open to if we have to pay him a consulting fee. I don't think that's out of line
Neither do I.
because we didn't ask the right questions when he was here on our dime. And zooming in, it could be, a limited amount that might end up saving us money or at least giving us confidence when we're explaining why we go that way to our.
Gives us confidence.
stakeholders.
We're not chasing after something that we don't know about.
So I also believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, but if we did postpone this, and we did have them come in and discuss the different methodologies, and the board decided to go with a different methodology, we'd have to go through the process of a public hearing again, and we'd have to wait the 2-month period. Is that correct?
I believe that if you just had him come to the meeting and explain in greater detail the different methodologies, you wouldn't have to have a new public hearing before you adopted the ordinance. If you changed the methodology and changed the fee and had a new ordinance with a different fee structure based on a different approach to calculating it, I think then you would have to have a new notice public hearing because you'd have a different fee and a different methodology. But just have him come back and explain better to make the board comfortable with the methodology that he selected and recommended wouldn't really change things. The ordinance doesn't have an effective date yet anyway. You've had your public hearing tonight. And so I think you could approve the ordinance at the next meeting, again, unless a change was made. And
I think that sounds reasonable. Shall we seek a motion to direct staff or is this consensus? Mr. Battles?
I think a motion would be preferable, given the formal nature of a hearing and an ordinance before you.
We haven't gotten to the ordinance, it's just the CEQA resolution.
So we can pass the CEQA resolution or not right now, and it's not going to affect the outcome of the third item, which is the ordinance to raise the capacity charges.
I
Correct?
would recommend that you hold off on the CEQA resolution because that's anticipating that you're going to approve the ordinance. And
So can we just get a motion from the
Better to
board to
do.
state direct staff to invite Clayton Tugfield to the next board meeting to further discuss the capacity fees?
I'll make the motion.
And do we need to table?
Can we just do a
CEQA?
Zoom meeting or miss all the travel
Yeah,
and keep
he'll-
it cheaper?
yeah, we'll do it. It's simple.
I'll
Yeah,
invite
We don't need him to come here.
I'll
right.
invite him via Zoom. I said in attend the
Okay,
next
I
board
just want to
meeting.
make
Right.
sure.
Yeah, to participate. But Director Van Pelt has made the motion, but I just wanted to clarify with Rick, do we need to say anything about tabling the CEQA thing or address that at all? Or do we just need the motion?
it
To
might be
direct staff to,
if the motion included tabling the existing action items, which are the resolution and the ordinance, until after you hear from Mr. Tuckfield.
okay, and Director Van Pelt, will you amend your motion to include tabling the CEQA vote and until we have had an opportunity to speak to Mr. Tuckfield?
Yeah, I'll amend my motion and we'll table the CEQA vote until we get further explanation
And adoption of the ordinance.
and
And adoption of the ordinance, okay.
and adoption of the ordinance. We'll table both of those. Thank you, Jose.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Director D'Ambra, second. Wendy?
So we have a motion by Director Van Pelt and a second by Director D'Ambra to direct staff to invite Clayton Tuckfield to the next meeting to discuss the methodology for increasing the capacity fees and to table approval of the resolution 21-10 and approval of ordinance 0-2103. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Redford,
Aye.
Director D'Ambra,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Van Pelt.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. I feel good about that. We will move on now to 8B, consideration and action regarding unauthorized connection at 3463 Segundo Street. And we will receive the staff report from Jose.
So this evening, legal counsel Rick Battles is here to discuss this situation. I do want to give a quick update. The customer at this address has sent in their check to cover the capacity fees, the permit inspection charge, plan check fees, annexation fees, and annexation and administrative charges. But the board must still discuss and determine what sewer service charges we want to recoup based off of the findings from staff. So I'm going to turn it over to Rick at this time. Rick, if you want to further discuss and give them more information, please.
Sure. The board has a number of options when there's a violation of its ordinances, its requirements under its service code. And in this case, there's a clear violation in that a connection was made without submitting an application or paying any of the fees. Now, it is just a toilet that's connected. I can't exactly envision it. I picture it sort of being like an outhouse that's being used by the construction people pending the completion of the residence, at which point the residence will be connected to the same lateral. But there is the illegal connection, and there is a requirement for paying the capacity fee and all these other charges which have now been paid. What the applicant still hasn't done is submit an application and provide plans and those kinds of things. And in addition, there's a requirement for paying the sewer service charge for the whole time that that toilet has been connected. And looking at the sewer service charge chart, there isn't a category if you just have a toilet connected, but it's a single family residence. It's sort of the minimum charge that I think Wendy has used in coming up with the calculations here. So the district could go back 3 or 4 years, depending on how long the toilet is connected, and require that those service charges be paid. And, and then there's also the issue of just dealing with compliance when the house gets completed and needs to connect to the lateral, and having that inspected and making sure that all works out as well. This originally came to you, and the staff report was prepared when none of the charges had been paid and there really hadn't been much in the way of a response from the property owner. And so there was a long list of remedies that you could pursue there, and staff needed some direction regarding how aggressively you wanted to go after this. Now that the fee has been paid, presumably less aggressive action would be warranted, but we still have the issue of no applications been submitted and service charges that haven't been paid. So I believe what we're looking for at this point is direction from the board regarding how staff should proceed with respect to this matter generally, and then specifically what the staff should seek in terms of unpaid sewer service charges for the time that there's been a connection and no fees being paid.
I'm having trouble envisioning or understanding what the connection was. I recall this same homeowner 3 or 4 years ago was contesting, she had a property that had 2 houses. It had a guest house on it and her primary residence. And she was trying to get the guest house legally identified as an ADU, and it was under 100 square feet above the 1,200. So she wasn't allowed to do it. And she said that this had all been approved by the GM at the time to have one capacity, and I didn't doubt that because it was a much more of a frontier town then. And I was familiar with the general manager, and he did different kinds of deals and worked things out with people in a less professional way than is expected now. So I'm just trying to figure, was this on her property? She had an outhouse? Is this the new house they're building is hooked up? I mean, is this part of some of this old wacky, well, he said we could do this and we put a toilet here, and I don't understand where this toilet is. Is it attached to a house?
This is the same owner, it's a different property. This is a vacant property that has a single family residence under construction. So there's
real quick, Rick,
construction, and while the construction is pending, my understanding is the contractor built a toilet facility there and connected it to the district sewer so that the construction people could use it while the house is being built.
correct. So there's a lateral that was stubbed out for them to connect in future expansion. They built a toilet, and one of the staff made a visit to the property. We were trying to determine if they were connected. During that visit, a plumber or painter or one of the contractors who was on site said, yes, I recall putting in that line to that toilet 5 years ago when they were doing the original construction on the other property, from what I understood. And so this toilet's been connected for approximately 5 years. That's why you're being presented with the option to recover sewer service charges for up to 5 years on this property. So this toilet's been connected. They've been using it for contractors, construction personnel, but that's where we're at.
Where that new house is?
Yes, where that new house is being built.
There was a toilet there that people were using for 5 years?
It's been connected for up to 5 years. This is hearsay based off of the contractor who was on site and told staff, I remember plumbing in that toilet about 5 years ago.
I'm not calling him a liar, but it's hard. I drive by, that's how I get everywhere. That's my road there. And I just can't picture a toilet being there before there was a house. That was just an open field.
It's in a little shack, I believe is what it's inside of right now.
You mentioned she had another property that she had an issue with. Okay, that's kind of flagrant violation on it. It's kind of like, it's not a good professional attitude to deal with, to take advantage of us like that. I don't like that.
But I wish you could have been here for it because she was very elderly. And when she built the second unit, I didn't think she was lying that, Mr. Larson said, since both the houses were on one, I just need to pay one capacity. And I'm trying to get this, the ADU thing was pretty new, so some of that stuff can happen. But I'm with you, Bob, now that now it does look like they're not too concerned with those kind of rules, but I just don't know where that toilet was. I drive by there, is that underground bunker toilet?
They have it enclosed in some wooden box. Craig was standing right next to it and he didn't even know it was there.
Well, we
Wow.
should recoup some of our loss there. They would have to have had, they're doing construction there, they would have to brought a portable in by code if they're not doing this. This is a little underhanded. I think we should fine them for it. Half the time. I'll throw that out. You guys,
My
I think
recommendation,
half the time's fair.
you can go half the time, or you could say, when did construction start, and go from that time, or you can go out 5 years. So,
But you don't put a toilet in if you don't need one.
yeah.
And we can't.
And if we throw the time to them, they're always gonna bring it down. Why don't we just come up with a number? We'll calculate out at 5 years. Let's take 3 years and that way we're kind of being fair. We'll take half of 3 years at the monthly rate of 78.
okay, so.
Does
a year
that
and a
sound
half.
reasonable to you guys?
It's not 78, every year was different, but we'll calculate.
Yeah,
So-
calculate it on an average.
So 1.5 years is what we want to recoup.
And how
I
long
think
has
you
the
should be recouping 2.5 years myself.
Years.
I'll go with
because
that.
It's been 5 years.
Yeah, all right.
But do we know that? He said that somebody said
Hearsay.
they remembered that from 5 years ago. And I'm not calling anyone a liar, but I just think it's so hard for me to picture a toilet being in use on that lot that I drive by every day. Like, I just don't understand why somebody would walk from their house to a vacant lot to some camo toilet, but it seems like, how long has the house been being built? A year? I mean, I definitely think it should go for the duration of the house being built and maybe longer, but I don't want to base the 5-year
But
thing on
first,
something
I
that
think
somebody
there should
said.
be a fine, period. I remember when I was working here over on Tiana Circle, I believe it was, we had a house owner, we had stubbed up to their property. They decided to take the stub to their house without paying anything, fees, and stubbed it up right there. And said, we don't plan on connecting, we just wanted to get this out of the way before we landscape. And I'm going, this is BS, this is, and one Saturday afternoon, you could be connected, we'd never know it. For those kind of things, there should be a fine. We have rules and regulations. They are choosing to just do whatever they want. They knew when they did it, it was
It's
wrong.
wrong. Yeah. there's a point right
100%
there.
agree that there should be a penalty
So
and that they
why-
should pay, and
Right.
it shouldn't take away from our paying customers.
Exactly.
Say
I get
Julie to
that.
collect it.
I'm just saying, the 5-year thing, that seems,
She took a chance.
So here's also Wendy reminding me of this. They pulled this permit back in 2013 to start this project with the county. At that time, we provided a can and will serve letter to them. So they've been seeking this project out for almost 8 years now. And the plumber stated that he made that connection about 5 years ago.
okay, well, that's information that's helpful. It makes it more credible that this has been
And throughout the process, the communication has been very hard for staff to receive a response from these customers. We sent them a couple letters already, no response. The reason why we received a check is we had staff out there last week about to check to see if it was still connected to verify prior to coming to the board meeting. And the guy made a statement that staff is difficult here and that he's ready, the check is in the mail. So that day we went out, there was no check in the mail. The check finally arrived on Friday, which was about 3 days after that interaction with them.
Supposing he doesn't pay now, you're gonna give him a reasonable amount of time to pay or
This
protest
sets a
it?
bad precedent. You either slap them or you say, it's no big deal, $70 a month, we'll take your word for what day you say it started. And it's no big deal. Everybody else in this valley will go, hey, it's no big deal, connect.
no, I agree, and there has to be consequences. But
So
I
whether-
don't
We
want
don't
them
even
to
have
be.
to say it's a monthly fee. We can just say, here's a flat fine. We can figure out what, estimated off what we know,
5 years, multiply it out, say the fine is 5,000, X amount of dollars, period, the end.
No explanation.
Yeah, and if they don't pay it, then we pour some concrete.
Of course, Rick might have different ideas.
Yeah.
Can,
Well,
yeah,
you're-
can I,
Put
can
a
I have,
mechanics lien, Rick, can't you? We could put a mechanics lien on the
Yes.
property. If they refuse to pay, we have that right, do we not?
Right, yeah, and if you look at the staff report, there are a number of remedies that you can pursue. One is disconnecting the line. The second one is imposing a penalty of 10% of the unpaid charges, and that wouldn't just be necessarily be the service charges. It could be all those fees, and then a charge of 1.5% per month. You can record a lien, you can file a lawsuit for the fees and penalties. You could seek an injunction in the court. It's a misdemeanor. Violation of the district's regulations is a misdemeanor, so you could refer it to the district attorney. Or you could do nothing and just wait to collect the fees when the owner comes back to connect the residents. But certainly that you have a basis for calculating the fee. You wouldn't want to pull a number out of the air. It'd have to be 10%. You'd have to identify the charges that the 10% applies to, and then you'd have to calculate the 1.5% per month.
And
Yeah,
then
I was gonna
Director
add-
Van Pelt,
yeah, no, and I'm glad Mr. Battles gave that explanation, because reading through this it really does set a precedent in respect to potential future violations, and so I'm very uncomfortable with pulling a flat fee and trying to call it a day. I do like using some of the alternative, charges, and I simply think if we move on the 5 year, if we are under the assumption that it's been close to 5 years, I don't know why we wouldn't seek 5 years of payments plus the 10% penalty and the 1.5%. It's something that I believe would be proper in this regard, even though I feel it might be at times a little harsh. I do think it was a willing, legal connection, and there's rules. We live in a rules-based society. We're trying again to encourage people to do things the right way and the lawful way. So that's my feeling, but I definitely open to discussion and hear the other board members' opinions.
In terms of how far we go back, there is a statute of limitations, which is either 3 or 4 years, depending on whether you treat the fee as a tax. So the property owner could say, well, there's a statute of limitations. If you sue me, you couldn't go back more than 3 or 4 years. But he has to raise that as a defense. The district's still entitled to the fees. It's simply the case that a court wouldn't go back that far if it went to court. Fees are due. The statute of limitations would be a defense. That's just something for you to take into account as you think about the course of action you want to follow here.
Is it, you say 3 or 4? Do you know that exact year, the statute of limitations?
It's not clear
Okay.
because it's the code section that deals with statute of limitations doesn't specifically identify sewer service charges. So and they don't fit into any clear category. So it's fit into one category or the other. And that's either the 3-year category or the 4-year category. So there's not a clear answer on that.
I mean, I would be happy then with a 3-year, to avoid lengthy back and forth and potential lawyer fees. I would be more than willing to look at those going back 3 years again, and then assessing the basic penalty of 10% for the non-payment charges and the additional penalty of 1.5% per month. It would be interesting to me.
Right there, 1%.
yeah, I think that's fair. It's harsh without being so harsh that we've got nothing left. I mean, if we throw the entire book at them and misdemeanor charges and all that, then we don't have anything left if they don't comply. I mean, I think that that's enough to get most people's attention.
Would the penalty be calculated on the full amount that they didn't pay until last Friday, or just on the sewer service charges that remain unpaid?
It would be the 10% of the connection fee that they didn't pay, and
And the
then their
monthly.
sewer fees
Yeah.
for 3 years.
mean,
Okay,
could-
well, they didn't pay their inspection charge, their plan check fee, their annexation fee, or their.
Well, is that 10% of all of that,
So
right?
it's like
$800.
$884, I do believe.
Plus the $70.
So the
month.
total for 3 years is $2,662 is what they would pay. Another 10% on that would be another $266. So you're looking at about almost $3,000 there and about 96, about another 880. So you're looking at about $3,800 probably.
Was this property part of the West San Ynez annexation?
No,
No,
Is it is it already annexed to the district then?
No, he was not.
Okay, so he still has to go through the annexation process also then.
In the West San Ynez, just like everybody else, but his lot, the empty lot did not have annexation fees paid like 5-10 years ago.
So is the property outside of the district currently?
No, it's within the district, but nobody ever pays an annexation fee unless they want to connect to sewer. But because he was one of the properties in the West San Ynez annexation, he was annexed in like everybody else
Okay.
on the west, 246.
So it is one of the properties within the West San Ynez annexation? Okay.
Yeah.
That explains that.
That's weird. It seems like it's in the downtown corridor. Its
Yeah.
location is very local to the neighborhood, so.
And it's
interesting.
just like some of the properties on Country Road and Samantha, they weren't annexed either. They were part of the West San Ynez annexation.
Yeah, they seem more west. I mean, that really
Yeah.
seems like in the neighborhood, that's 3 lots down from the Red Barn. Well, do we have consensus?
Well, here's my question. Do we need to address this in a formal, so that if it happens again, that this is our go-to
our protocol.
protocol? Yes.
But that is not, that's something that we can add to the agenda to come up with a
Right.
policy on.
But maybe we need that.
Yes,
And
What-
so we're not shooting from the hip the next time.
No, it is in the sewer code.
It isn't.
so that's in code section 904. So that is in the section. That's why Rick provided as one of the
Okay.
options the board could take.
so we may not need a policy, we just need to refer to the sewer code.
Right.
This is our authority here.
So for any future illegal connections, we would refer to code section 904 and impose those fees on those
Mhm.
connections.
And I think this would be a nice little thing to put on our pamphlet, is that somebody was caught connecting illegally and got spanked, so that other people realize it's probably not a great idea.
Well, I believe he's got a penalty to pay. You know, that's pure and simple as far as I'm concerned. Was willfully done.
Mhm.
Willful disregard for us.
So if I understand what the board has discussed, is we want to impose a 10% penalty on the fees that have already been received by the district, and also the 3 years worth of service charges plus 10% of that as well. Is that correct?
I'm good with that.
I'm good with it.
I'm
Then how about the
comfortable.
1.5% per month on top of that?
Yep, I say we tag them for everything.
I'm sure he's gonna come to one of the board meetings.
He was
He was
notified.
invited for this one.
Was he?
Yes, he was.
Well, even more arrogant.
So as Rick mentioned, we want to go to 1.5 on the service charges. Okay.
That's exciting.
A quick
Because it's
question.
stealing from the district.
I agree.
And that
Yes,
1.5% would go back 3 years.
Yes.
Yes. And Director Van Pelt, you have a question?
Yeah, my question actually is to Mr. Battles, so we determine these charges and we send this property owner a nice letter requesting that he pays his bill. What is his recourse? Can he, I assume he could legally fight this. Could we also listen to him? Would he present maybe a different case to the board and the board can reconsider the fees assessed. What is the next step after we issue this fine?
Yeah, he has the
Good
option
question.
to go to
Is
the
there a
board and
appeal
appeal that decision.
Mhm.
And I'll have to dig out those, I'll have to find those specific provisions, whether it's stated as hardship. Anyway, the board, I think it's a request for relief is what he asks for under our code. I'll have to look at those provisions, but even in the absence of any provisions, there's nothing that prevents him from coming to the board and asking to be heard on this, and the board can always reconsider something like this.
Yep, wonderful. Yeah, that's
We
all.
have had a couple of those.
Mhm.
A couple of times since I've been a board member, we have had people request relief. I remember the shut down restaurant that was paying all that for, and I believe a lady came in with a problem one time too. So,
And in
yeah, those are
the,
possible.
in the notice that we send to the customer, we can lay out what his options are. Call to his attention that, if you want to have this reviewed by the board, this is what you need to do.
Yeah, and I think that's important for us too. Is I think part of the the impetus to find this property owner is to first have the property owner speak to exactly what they did, maybe to take some ownership of it. And if indeed we're under a misunderstanding, it would be nice to hear from the property owner's mouth. And I think given the option to speak is all we can ask, just as much as the court of law, right, would allow you to come and speak your case. So I fully would like to move forward with in initially imposing all these fines and giving the individual the option. I would be interested in listening.
Wasn't he invited to be here tonight? Didn't you say that?
We did send him an email invitation to attend.
Yes, but
He
this is a little different because we're sending him a bill and saying, you need to pay this bill. If you want to appeal it, contact our office under whatever the section in the government code on a hardship waiver is. And he may again decide, but we have given him an opportunity to have his day in court. I mean, yes, we invited him to this meeting, but now he's going to be fully aware of what he's being charged. And if he wants to, and in the cases that I remember that this has come up, it's a strict criteria to get fees waived because they are owed. So that he would have an opportunity to say, no, it wasn't 5 years ago. That guy did it to my neighbor's house. This went in 6 months ago when we started, I mean, whatever. So I like the idea of sending him a bill with a note that cites the section of how you appeal on the bottom of the letter, and then we've done everything we need to do. So I guess at this point, we look for a motion to direct staff to create a statement or a bill to send him.
Direct staff to send a letter to the residents the owner at 3463 Segundo Street, imposing a 10% penalty fee on top of the fees that have received for capacity fee, permit inspection charge, plan check fee, annexation administrative charge, and also imposing a 10% penalty fee for the 3 years of service charges, inclusive of those service charges, plus a 1.5% monthly fee for each month of that connection. Did I get it all in there, Rick?
I think that covers it.
And how long does he have to respond to that?
That's your call. We could give him 7 days.
15
30
days. I
days.
give him 15 days. Is that reasonable?
I'd give him 10. But 15's reasonable, yeah.
You're tough, Frank.
I guess. I mean, if he's going to, he's going to.
Right, and we may as well get this done. I agree. Okay, so do we have a motion?
One thought is if it has to be paid within 15 days, he doesn't have the opportunity to come back to the board at the next board meeting.
Well, respond to
Case
it.
before it comes due.
He could respond to it and then request, if he responds to it, then we can just tell him it'll be put on the August agenda.
Yeah, or he could pay under protest.
Well, 15 days Yeah, 15 days gives us sufficient time to respond to the letter. If he doesn't respond by 15 days, then he's avoided our letter, and we take the next step, which I believe would be legal action at that time, right?
It would probably be the recording of a lien.
Yes.
Good.
Okay.
We
so-
would need to record a lien. Could we put it on the property tax
That gets
roll?
complicated because before you put a lien on the property tax roll, you need to have a public hearing, and if there's a majority protest, you can't do it. So that, he would be able to prevent us from putting it on the property tax roll by protesting, because that would be a majority.
Well, how about if we put it on the deed?
Yeah, that would be a lien. You can do that.
And then do you want to, is there a cost for recording it on the lien or on
There
the
is.
lien?
$35.
Something like that,
Maybe.
modest cost. There's a process, and we've gone through that before in the past. It's not a terribly complicated process, but you record a certificate of lien, and then you can't really force the payment of that amount. But when the property's sold, the lien will necessarily get paid off, or maybe the property owner will just choose to pay it off because they don't want to lien on their property. Maybe they need to refinance.
If I'm not mistaken, the lien accrues interest until such time that the property is sold. Does that sound right to you?
Well, the lien, you could continue to accrue interest on the amount due at 1.5% a month.
Which would, upon sale, that comes out of escrow at that point.
Right.
That might be another incentive for him if we, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's 18% a year.
But that's also legal, if I'm not mistaken,
Right,
to do that.
right.
Yeah. Well, maybe if he looks at this, it's going to be much more cost effective for him to come in and try to cut a deal, if you will, as opposed to being as arrogant and just, throwing it in the trash like he has to this point. So maybe it's good, good for us to have a background and, hey, these are your options. These are your consequences. How do you want to play?
Yes.
I want to be tough, but I don't want to be a bully. And there are projects that we want to work together with the community. And if our reputation is, boy, those guys are real jerks, we can be strict, we can do this, but we don't need to pile on. Say something, keep something in our back pocket. Let's let him respond. He's having to pay back fees, interest, and, to hit with 18% interest, maybe that's something if he doesn't respond.
Well, yeah, you make him aware of the consequences should he not take care of this up front. I got to believe anybody who can add would want to come and talk to you. And that's what we want. We want to get the interface going with the guy. Like you said, maybe he's got an excuse. I don't know, but it was handled very poorly. And then is it fair to say he's ignored us, our requests? Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Very fair.
Okay, well, now we tighten it up a little bit.
I wonder if it would make sense to, in the letter, say that you're imposing the 10% penalty. You are also authorized to impose a penalty of 1.5% per month. But if the amount is paid, including the penalty, within 15 days, then the interest won't be imposed. But if it's not paid by that date, then the interest will be imposed going back to the beginning.
I think that's a
more
wise-
my style.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Director Van Pelt.
No, I was just going to basically probably say what you were going to say, Director Jones. Is I think that's a wise recommendation, Mr. Battles. I think, again, we're not looking to be bullies here. We're just looking to encourage, proper behavior because we're representing all our constituents. So I would sign up to that wording to encourage, prompt payment and any lengthy back and forth. That's how I would want to be treated. I would be willing to pay, back, penalties, but avoiding interest would be important. own up to it, right? Is the point. Own up to what you've done, and we won't seek more. So, Director Jones, sorry, I think we.
No, I'm there too. Directors Redfern and Deambra, do you have a problem with that?
Not at all.
No. Okay, then,
So if I could restate the motion,
Yes.
is what we're saying, Rick, is the board is stating that the district wants to collect 10% penalty on the $8,821.76 check that has been received by the district. Also, collection of 3 years of sewer service charges with an additional 10% penalty fee. And if this is not paid within 15 days, the district will assess the 1.5% penalty on top of that for the sewer service charges. Did I wrap that up correctly, Rick?
That's what I heard the board saying.
and Rick is on screen. I'm
That
not
was-
sure.
he
if
said
he-
that.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's the motion that we're looking for?
Yes.
Do we have that motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, so Director Deambra has made the motion, has been seconded by Director Redfern.
All right, so we have a motion by Director Deambra, a second by Director Redfern to collect 10% penalty on the $8,821.76 that was paid for the capacity permit and inspection charge, plan check fee, and annexation fee charges, plus a 10% penalty on the 3 years of sewer service charges, plus 3 years of the sewer service charges. And if it's not paid within 15 days, then impose a 1.5% per month penalty interest charge on the service fee charges.
Going back 3 years. I would think that the 1.5% would be on all the charges,
Oh, on all the charges?
going back 3 years.
Okay, so
That was my understanding.
all,
That's what I heard.
okay.
Me too.
All right, so we'll do if it's not paid within 15 days, a 1.5% interest on all the charges going
That
back to 3
compounds
years.
monthly.
Yes. So we'll do a roll call vote. Director Redfern,
Aye.
Director Deambra,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Van Pelt.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, so now to go to 8C, which is an update on Horizon Drive Mainline Extension Project. So General Manager Acosta.
So this is our monthly update on Horizon Drive project. The loan application has been finalized. All documents and agreements have been reviewed and we've signed them, submitted all that information. We're looking at getting funds dispersed hopefully by this Friday. So we'll have to get that money deposited into an account. We set up a separate account at 5 Star for this money to go into and come out of. The one thing I did want to remind the board of is the 1% penalty, prepayment penalty has been deleted from the contract, but the prepayment period remained in the contract. Originally, it was a 10-year period that you couldn't prepay. We got that reduced down to 8 years for a prepayment penalty. So we can't prepay the loan within 8 years. After 8 years, if we have 23 service connections, then we can pay off that loan.
Question for you, you can add more to principal, just like you do with your home mortgage? There's no problem doing that, right? We could, if you add on a monthly payment, you can add to principal.
Yes.
That doesn't affect any part of the prepayment, right?
I do not believe so. You should be able to add as much as you want to principal. You just can't prepay the whole loan.
Yeah, close it.
On the easements, the work is being completed on the street prior to entering into the easements, but all the easements, everything's been paid off. The customers who we obtained the easement through have been received their checks and they're in our hand and all titles have been cleared as well. Construction updates, As I mentioned earlier, we did have a meeting with the residents out at Horizon Drive. And I also compiled an informative pamphlet that was presented to the residents out there. And we'll have that available for disbursement if any customers have any questions as well. I did share that with the board through email, so Mr. D'Amber probably should not receive that, but I will send that to you as well. We did invite Mrs. Ivy out for a photo op last week, and we had 2 board members and myself there. I wanted to see if the board wanted to try to do another photo op, possibly with more attendance for the board and inviting Mrs. Ivy out there, or I could just get Miss Ivy out there by herself and take a picture, but don't know if the board wants to extend that handout to Mrs. Ivy or just allow all board members there for a proper picture. So I don't know Mr. Van Pelt's schedule and Mr. Beard's schedule as well.
Can we do it in Germany?
I will be returning, back and forth. So depending on the timing of the picture photo op, I might be able to attend. So.
Okay, so if we decide on a date right now, maybe Mr. Van Pelt can let us know if he's going to be available at that time, and we'll let Mr. Beard know as well. Do we want to try for maybe sometime next week?
Why don't you see what Miss Ivy can do?
Okay.
And then we'll start from there.
And then I'll send an email and a text out to all board members, letting you know what time Miss Ivy and dates available.
Get her a couple of dates from her. Just
I will.
Times, yeah.
I'll ask her I'll say what's your good timing throughout every day. She probably has an available time throughout the day. And I'll get some dates and I'll send that out to the board, and we'll try to get a new photo op out there for everyone.
And you should notice that as a board meeting, a special board meeting.
We should notice, this is just for a photo op, Rick.
Will there be any discussion at all of matters relating to district business?
There
No.
should not be, it'll just
We
be,
would just post it to be transparent.
so we would just post it as a special meeting, just to be transparent.
Yeah, I think-
Okay,
Yeah, you could scrupulously avoid having any discussions of the project, but that's often difficult. So the safer approach would be just to post a notice of a special meeting.
okay, we'll make a note of that and make sure we got that posting. So, yes, if 3 or more are in attendance, if we only have 2 again, then we won't post it, but I'm
If you
anticipating.
only have you again, I'm not coming.
So, well, maybe 2 other ones, and then we could just Photoshop the other
That's
ones back in. So, SCI has mobilized and started construction out at the project site. You get a chance to go out there and check out the project. It's pretty impressive how deep those guys are working in. They have 2 guys down in the trench with some shoring around them. They've laid approximately about 120 feet of pipe so far. In the evening hours, towards the close of the project, it's impressive of how many slurry trucks they have to get out there. I believe they had 16 trucks coming out today, 16 plus trucks. And that's just pouring slurry, driving away, circling back to the plant. So they probably have maybe 4 trucks doing it all, but it's pretty impressive seeing all that work being done. They've started at the manhole, which is located right in front of Mrs. Larson's house. And that's the center point, and that's shot to meet up with the manhole over by San Dakota and to head east down Horizon and head west down Horizon. They started there last week. They installed the manhole. It's completed this week, and they're moving east towards the end of the cul-de-sac. They're anticipated being done with getting to the end there on the east, hopefully around the end of the month, maybe July 28th through July 30th, having that manhole and the line completed all the way down to the end there. As they're moving along, they're tapping where the laterals will go. They're bringing them up about 6 feet, but they're not crossing them over to the property line yet. But that will be the next step when they reconvene back on Horizon Drive. Their goal is to get off of Horizon Drive, get through the easement, and then come back and install the laterals. So they're looking at moving to the west, starting that possibly the week of August 2nd, and maybe being completed with that by the end of the week of August 9th, probably around August 13th. So optimistically speaking, they're hoping to be done on Horizon Drive by middle of August. And then they'll start going down the easements.
They had no water. How deep did they go so far?
They're approximately
20 feet?
18 feet.
19 at that manhole D2.
So I apologize. I have Mr. David Kerr here, who is our construction manager. He's been on site almost every day. He's been doing a great job working with Craig. Him and Craig are collaborating, and he's been in communication with the contractor and providing us with some good informative information as well. So I invite him to the meeting tonight in case the board has any questions of him as well. Let's see.
I have a question for you. How does it look to you, the progress, you know, look smooth?
Clean and professional. They're doing a very good job. They take things seriously. They take their customer relations with the neighbors seriously, and very impressed with their efforts so far.
Thank you. Good news.
We did have a progress update meeting today where SCI staff are in attendance and we have our staff in attendance, and we're very pleased with how they're working. They say they've reached out to the community and they've taken their considerations into account. So we've heard nothing but good things so far from the community. We haven't gotten any calls as far as complaints from the community. In the evenings, they're wrapping it up, making sure the road's accessible, putting away all their equipment and keeping it as clean as they can. So we're very impressed with SCI thus far and hoping we can complete this project with complete satisfaction. So.
And thank you.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm also impressed with Mr. Kerr. When we went out for the picture, you were there, you show up for meetings, and I appreciate your commitment to your work.
Thank you.
A big thank you at the end of the project, but right now I do have to thank Craig and David. They're doing a great job out there. So that's coming from us here.
There's one thing, if you go by Friday and don't see anybody working, don't be alarmed. This week they're working 4/10s and taking off Friday because of the specific schedule. They're not doing that permanently, but if you happen to go out Friday and look around, nobody will be there.
And part of that is due to slurry scheduling as well. They can't get the slurry on Friday.
They can't get the slurry till late, till the other main jobs in, so that I would stop by on the way down here. They were halfway through the slurry course, so that they'll work till 6:30 tonight with the slurry, so they're not off on Friday. They're taking Friday this week off.
At 18 feet, 19 feet, 20 feet, it's not muddy at all? No water?
So the comment today was that they had an area where they had maybe a little seepage through some veins, but that was it. Nothing major, nothing that they're encountering any issues with. Again, they're starting at Mrs. Larson's and working east. If they're going to experience any water, we always anticipate that it would be when they start moving west toward Mrs. Ivy's house. But so far, the ground is dry. The clay seems to be intact. So it seems to be pretty dry down there. And last thing is the engineering service. Mike Kilborn has been on board with all the phone calls, all the emails, and he remains in communication on any engineering services questions that are presented as well. That concludes my Horizon Drive update. If I have any other questions, I'd gladly answer.
It does not seem that anyone has further questions. I think I'm happy. This is good. Good thing. So now we can go to other thing.
Okay.
Yes, David, thank you again for coming out. I appreciate it. We'll see you.
Thank you, Mr. Kerr.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to approve the annexation fees for 2021, 2022. And so we're going to receive the staff report. Are we going to receive that from Mr. Acosta or from?
I'll turn it over to Wendy, but we'll be adopting the annexation fee for fiscal year 20.
So for the sewer code.
Excuse me, before you
section
start on the staff report, Jose, did you want me to sign off at this point?
Oh, yes, thank you, Rick, for reminding me. This is, you can go ahead and sign off at this point. Appreciate your attendance. Unless a board member has any specific questions for Rick, we'll send them out for the evening. I think we're good.
Yeah, we're good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Rick.
Very helpful, Rick.
All right.
Thank you,
You're
Rick.
welcome. Thank you for allowing me to attend. It was nice seeing you all. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, so we shall receive the staff report from Ms. Berry.
All right, so the annexation fee is in, how we calculate it is in sewer code section 805 and 806. It starts out with, you take the district debt from the beginning of time in 1972, and you divide that by however many acres are annexed into the district. And as we bring in, as properties connect to sewer, they have to pay their annexation fee. So with all the properties that were annexed in with West Side, they're responsible for paying their annexation fees. And so in 2021, we had 3 properties on Sienna Way, which were not included in the West Side annexation, and they annexed into the district. So it took them a year to be to go through their annexation process. So with the 3 new properties, the annexation fees, so as you add no more debt, and adding properties, the annexation fee actually decreases. So currently the annexation fee was $1,644.78. And with the 3 parcels on Sienna Way that got annexed in, the annexation fee will drop to $1,639.85.
Are they going to sign on for just the annexation, or are they going on for
They're
sewer?
already connected.
So, there's 5 total there?
Well, there's 4.
4.
Yeah, the one parcel he decided not to connect and not to annex, because he would have to go through the whole annexation process by himself, and it's like $7,000.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay, so we've received the staff report. I'd like to open a public comment right now. And I see no public on Zoom or in the room. So opening public comment and closing it. And so we can move on to discussion and talk about if we want to make a motion to accept staff recommendation. See, this is Bob, I thought you would be happy. It's not a
It's
big
down.
decrease,
It's
but
a
it's going
decrease.
down. As people come in, it goes down.
What are you talking, the annexation fee?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the capacity fee. Those are 2
Oh, no,
different
no,
fees.
well, we're talking about annex, I'm saying,
in
here's
general.
some good news.
Because in general, there's a decrease now. So
I'm saying it's nice when something goes down.
Yeah, okay, got you.
I was just trying to bring some cheerful news.
No, what's the word? I got exactly what you said. I was thinking the capacity. Yeah, I know the $1,900 for the Sienna's waste. Yeah, got that. But we were talking before about capacity fee going through the roof. So you got me there when I was cobwebbing in my brain.
I'm
Very good.
happy, even though it's just, a few houses, as more people come in, then things get a little more affordable.
Yes, they do. On
So,
that part.
yes. Any discussion before I ask for a motion to approve?
I say we jack it up 10%.
Oh, you're such a
It's sewer
gold
code.
digger, you Scrooge McDuck. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the 10-year, to approve the annexation fees for 2021, 2022?
I'll make the
I'll
motion,
make the motion.
or I'll
All right.
second. I'll second.
I'll second when you make the motion.
Okay.
So if anything happens, you'll be in trouble before me.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion from Director Van Pelt that was seconded by Director D'Ambra. Wendy?
All right, so we have a motion by Director Van Pelt and a second by D'Ambra to approve the annexation fees for 21-22. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Redfern,
Aye.
Director D'Ambra,
I,
Director Jones,
Hi.
Director Van Pelt.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, and now we go to the approve the 10-year capital improvement plan. So I turn that over to Director Acosta.
So this evening we'll be presented with this district 10-year CIP. Back in January 20th of 2021, The board was presented with the CIP for discussion, recommendation, and any changes that the board wanted. At the time, the only change that the board made was to make some language changes, changing from West Side changing from Horizon Drive and West Side to just one line item to say West Side build out or future development, future expansion. So that was the only recommended change at that time on the CIP. During that time, the city of Solvang has finalized their 10-year CIP for their wastewater treatment plant. So the new 10-year CIP for the district is inclusive of those costs, and they're reflected in the chart provided here for the board to review and discuss as well. These are the anticipated charges for future development, but also included in here is the cost that we are sharing in this project, this current project, based off of the awarded amount, the contract that was awarded for this project going on right now.
So where do I see the change from when we went over this before? How did the number change?
So the numbers did not change.
Okay.
So future expansion was just changed at that line item used to say Horizon Drive or West Side Extension.
The term.
Yes, the term
It
is
was
all
the term.
the
Okay,
future expansion.
I'm talking the Solvang capital improvement.
So these
Stuff
numbers
didn't
have been
change.
finalized based off of their CIP, which is also attached for review as well.
And how does that affect us?
Well, the 565 has been updated to an actual figure based off of an estimated figure that we had in there previously. And all other figures have been updated based off of their estimated figures as well.
The black bar that runs across the top of this, are we supposed to be able to read something that's on that black bar, or is it just a black bar?
Those have the dates, the 10 years in it.
Okay,
So it starts out at 2021, because that's, we still owe for that. And then it goes 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, 24, 25, 25, 26,
So that's, sorry. but it's
26,
just
27, 27, 28,
Copied
28,
darker.
29.
yeah, I didn't know, I could see there was something there, but I
Okay.
couldn't see what it was.
Sorry, I
No worries.
didn't think about that.
So if the board has any questions, I'll answer the questions at this time.
I have confidence in you in this. I have no question. I don't even think I could really.
We've already discussed this previously, right? So as Jose was saying, I think all discussion points have, besides the language change, have been discussed. So I have
Yeah,
no further questions.
Normally, you would see this every June with the annexation fee and the 10-year CIP, but we were waiting on Solvang to update theirs. So it's a standard thing that you'll see on an annual basis.
And so, since we have already reviewed this and discussed it, do I have a motion to approve the 10-year capital improvement project?
I'll make the motion.
Director Van Pelt has made the motion. Do we have a second?
Go for it.
I'll make the second.
Okay, so
Wendy?
we have a motion by Director Van Pelt and a second by Director Deambra to approve the 10-year capital improvement plan. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Redford,
Aye.
Director Deambra,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Van Pelt.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, and it takes us to 8F, which to me is the most exciting thing on the agenda. I love yard sales. So who is going to do this? Director Acosta, would you like to take this staff report?
Yes, so the staff report. So, on an annual basis, staff should be presenting the board with surplus equipment that we need to get rid of in the district. So every year in July, we'll be taking inventory of the equipment, furniture or anything like that and present it to the board for surplus.
Like some of those books in your office, sir.
Not getting ready to buy any of those, but, so per the resolution which was adopted in 2006, surplus property is referred to as any property that no longer has any use for the district or has outlived its life. There are several methods ways we can dispose of the service property, and those are, you can trade them in, attempt to make a trade-in for monetary discounts when you're purchasing a new equipment. So for purchasing, say, a new jetter, and we can trade in the old jetter for $5,000 towards the price of that, that would be an option. Return to the manufacturer. If you're purchasing some equipment from the same company for credits towards the new property. The sale, we can select the best and most efficient manner in which to sell the surplus property. And all sales will be as is, final sales as is. The last option is for donation or disposal. So if we attempt to sell it and we give a time period and we don't sell it, then we could donate it to a local thrift store, a local facility that's in need of the property as well, or we just dispose of it at the local landfill. There's no value in it at all. All proceeds would be paid to the district, and we would use the form of a certified check or a money order to receive those funds. The general manager, there's a bill of sale attached here as well for review, would be authorized to sign the bill of sale based off of the final selling price. District employees, directors, and officers are prohibited from purchasing any of the surplus property as well. The district surplus property resolution is attached for review, and also a listing of surplus property that we currently possess. I'll go down the listing of the surplus property that we're looking to dispose of or sell at this time. We have office furniture, old furniture that was in the general manager's office. That furniture is valued approximately less than $500. We would start sale of that approximately about $500. There's a desk, there's a chair, and that's about all that came out of the general manager's office for furniture. Then we have the office furniture that was up at the front, which you had a desk, some counters on that desk, you had a couple of filing cabinets, and we had a bookshelf that was in the hallway, and a bookshelf that was right in the entryway by the printer as well. Again, that would be valued at approximately less than $500. A couple office chairs, those are valued at less than $50 each. We have a 3-inch home light trash pump. This was used for transporting wastewater from the tanks. It was purchased in 1998, and the unit is in need of several repairs, and a replacement has already been purchased for this, so this property is just sitting here with no use to it. So, and it doesn't have any value at this time based on the age and the need of repairs.
And what it was used for, ishkabibble.
We have a Briggs & Stratton portable gas generator. It was used to power the air compressor, purchased in 1999, and it was purchased at a yard sale. And the unit's in need of repairs, and a replacement has been purchased for that. We're valuing that at approximately $25. And the last thing on the list is a Campbell House valve 2.5 horsepower air compressor. It was used to power up the pneumatic tools used for maintenance and projects around the district. The replacement has been purchased for that as well, and that's valued at about $50.
One thing that occurs to me, there's not a lot here, and because I am in the thrift business, even as a volunteer, this stuff is not high selling, expensive stuff, you know, maybe the air pump. And when we talk about the staff hours involved, I would not devote a lot of time to this. I know in Lompoc, I've been to a place that buys up office and restaurant stuff, and they may give you very little for it. They resell it, but I wouldn't spend a lot of time just because of the low value of this when you factor in staff hours.
So our plan is to post this stuff on probably a Facebook forum, a local Facebook forum for online, see if someone's interested in that, purchasing it there. We'll place a time limit on giving them response time to purchase it. And at that time, if we don't receive any response, we'll probably dispose of it or donate it. Like the office furniture, I know that place in Lompoc will take it, and they'll just take it from you if you cannot sell it firsthand. So, or maybe we see if a local thrift store would like some of the furniture or the chairs. But the other three mechanical items, I don't see any use of donating those at all.
Yeah, to me, something 30 years old that held wastewater is something that needs to be disposed of properly.
Yeah, just pour a little bleach in it.
Oh, you boys.
So what we're looking for is a motion to authorize the general manager to sell or dispose of the district surplus personnel property as deemed appropriate.
I think that's the way to go, and I think you probably agree with me, this is something that should involve more than a few hours of staff time.
Correct, I agree with that.
Now, okay, so do I have a motion to authorize the general manager to take this on?
I'll make the motion.
I'll make the second, Mr. General Manager, for you.
Okay, so we have a motion to authorize the general manager to sell or dispose of district surplus personal property as deemed appropriate. We have a motion from Director Redfern and a second from Director D'Ambra.
All right, so we have a motion by Director Redfern and a second by Director D'Ambra to authorize GM to sell or dispose of the surplus property. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Redfern.
Aye.
Director D'Ambra.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Van Pelt.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, yay. Now we go on to informational items, treasurer report.
Okay, so we have the quarterly investment report for period ending June 30th, 2021. We have a total of $4,782,088.85. We earned 0.315% interest monthly in the 5-star account with a balance of $4,245,910. And we earned $177.30 in the LIF interest account, and we have a balance of $162,466.49 in that account. And with Mechanics Money Market, we have $289,804.29 in that account. And the Mechanics Checking, we have $18,641.87. And that's information item only.
Very good. Thank you, Wendy. Next item is adjournment. The next regular Board of Directors meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, July 21st, 2021.
July?
August.
August, excuse me.
Wow. I
It
thought we
says
got a year off.
July. Yeah. I trusted you, Wendy.
So the next board meeting will
That's
be
not the.
You weren't gonna see me for a year.
It
August
could be.
18th. August 18th.
August 18th. Okay.
It's August 18th now?
Yes,
It's
sir.
the third Wednesday in
Right.
August, and that much I know.
Right.
Okay, and we don't have any special meetings or anything, but we will have some staff training and we'll be in touch with Wendy.
Did we pick a date for sexual harassment?
I'm open for it anytime.
Monday, 10 o'clock.
Works for me.
Monday. I'll say it works for me too.
No, we'll just do it. And Director Van Pelt, that is 1 a.m. your time.
He's gonna do his on his own.
I was teasing him.
Well, do you know right now, Director Jones, it's 4:38 in the morning here in Germany. So I've had the pleasure of having a great board meeting in the middle of the night. I'm extremely
Well, then you'll
sharp.
sleep well, buddy.
I will with my 4 kids waking me up in about an hour and a half. But
That's what I was going to say. You're not going to sleep today.
no problem. I'm feeling good right now.
That'll change quickly.
Before the crash.
No, I used to be young. You can do it when you're young.
Do it.
Okay, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
I just have one thing. On your sales, you might look into the 360 auctions. I've been going online to them. They clear out a lot of stuff. And they seem to do it rapidly and very efficiently. just an idea. You might check into it to sell them.
And auctions do have that weird intoxicating
Right,
effect.
somebody decides they gotta have something, they will pay more for it than it's worth.
Yeah, ask me about that Dino in my front lawn or that Wolf stove on my patio. I get an auction and I just gotta win. I don't care how much I pay.
Okay. I'll look into that.
Okay, so who's motion to adjourn the meeting?
I do.
Director Redfern has made a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll second that. Thank you, Bob.
A second from Director Van Pelt.
At 7:39 PM, we'll do a roll call vote. Director Redfern,
Aye.
Director Deambra,
I.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Van Pelt.
Aye.
Motion passes, meeting is adjourned.
Yay.
Dang.
Good
Yay.
seeing everyone.
Hey,
Nice,
Jose.
seeing
Thank
you.
you for attending.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Appreciate that.
Let's just
Yes.
keep that pace. You're looking good.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, Jose and Wendy and all the fellow board members. Thanks for the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wendy never gets any accolades, and she, for all intents and purposes, you gotta say she's the glue of this whole place, right? So
Yeah.
thank you, Wendy, for everything you do and for all the times. I personally have never taken the time to thank you for covering me for whatever instance it needed, and I'm sure everybody feels the same way. Is that a fair statement?
No, I think people get thanked on their payday.
Oh, man.
Well, I mean, that's the thanks I always wanted from a job. Compliments are nice, but I like the paycheck.
Well, I was setting you up to take off with this,
So
and
real
you
quick, in boot camp, you were not allowed to thank your drill instructor, but every time you thank them, you come and slap them and say, don't thank you, Uncle Sam thanks me every payday. So-
Yeah, there you go, see? I'm from the Bobby Knight School too.
Bobby Knight was it, Bobby Knight was a,
Chaperone,
what?
He was a
He was a
passionate coach.
Indiana.
Bob, yeah, there's a Bobby Knight hockey player.
Oh, yes, yes.
There's a,
No, we're talking about the basketball
Bobby
coach.
Orr.
Bobby Orr.
Let me just say,
All right,
Bobby
I'm
Knight made the classic mistake of staying one day too long.
Yes, he is.
He should have got out. Culture changed.
I'm
It
not making that
caught him by
mistake.
surprise.
So Monday at 10.